recording, Sarah, so I don't forget. Again, welcome everyone. We're just 1 minute to the top of the hour, and thanks for joining us. And as you are getting settled, please share your name, where you're joining from, and your favorite children's book in the chat. Oh, I see Brown Bear, Brown Bear. That's another one I have upstairs. That's great. I was also thinking about a favorite. I remember this one for that I used to get tired of reading is the Five Little Monkeys. 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. Heather Steam Train, Dream Train. Okay, I don't know that one. Great.
And you,
well,
oh, go ahead, Lori.
Go ahead, because I'll just start things off.
No, go for it.
Okay. Well, again, we want to welcome everyone today. This is Once Upon a Time, and we are very happy that you are with us today. This is something that I think Sarah and I both feel very good about, and that this is one of our favorites. And we're pleased to have you with us today as we talk about some children's literature and how we might use it. Just to give you a sense of who we are, I'm Lori Hendrickson. I'm an extension educator out of our Grand Rapids regional office, in the Center for Family Development and teaching family resiliency topics. And with me today, Sara Croymans. Sara, do you want to say anything to start off?
Well, welcome. I'm so excited everyone's here. I'm also an extension educator with the University of Minnesota Extension out of our Morris regional office. Out in West Central Minnesota. So welcome.
Thank you. And then as we think about what we're going to be doing today, we first of all want to get a better sense of what you're hoping to get out of this today. And we want to know a little bit about if you are attending the webinar for personal use, for professional use. Oh, got it, Sarah. I was just going to go and do that. Thank you. Or a little bit of both, your personal and professional use. And so that helps us to understand what you're hoping to get out of it today. All right. And the poll results, you see that the majority of people today are looking for both personal and professional use. And so we hope you will find a little bit that you can use in your personal experience as well as your professional use as well. Thank you for sharing that with us today. All right, and then we'll move on to our objectives for today. Today, we're going to be talking about clarifying some story time, money and story time, and helping to build some money skills with children. We're also looking at identifying books that teach money lessons and preparing to use stories and activities with young children. And I just really think it's a fun way to be able to teach, and we enjoy doing this. And let's take a look at some financial capability milestones for very young children, ages 3 to 5, those preschool years. We're looking at beginning to demonstrate self-regulation, persistence, and focus. So you actually have that ability to sit and read a book together. There's a little bit more focus time there. You can also begin to use those skills and recognize those skills and qualities such as looking at time, money, treats, and belongings. You start to see the understanding of my belongings, your belongings, and perhaps sharing. Again, children at these ages generally don't want to do a lot of sharing, but we can help them to understand about sharing. And then beginning to develop those basic values and attitudes around keeping or saving, and then using resources such as consuming. And that's a good place to start with young children as well. They also have very early numeracy skills, counting and sorting, and grasp the very basic financial concepts like money and trading. And I just, as I was reflecting on this, remember my little nephew, well, not so little anymore, but when he was little, I can remember him about 3 years old, finding a nickel on my mother's table and saying, "Grandma, what are you going to do with this nickel?" So that idea of understanding that money has value. You may not know the difference yet between what the value is of a nickel and a dime, but you understand that it's money and you can get something for it. And so those are the kinds of things that we can start building on right there. As we move on then and look at the middle childhood ages, those 6 to 12-year-old, they show the ability to plan ahead and to delay gratification. When I see delay gratification, the first thing I think of, and if you haven't seen this, haven't experienced it, there's something out there on YouTube that you can find called the marshmallow experiment, where they've asked children to, leave the marshmallows alone and delay that gratification until the adult comes back into the room. And if you delay that gratification and there's 3 marshmallows currently, we'll give you 6 perhaps. Or and to start that idea of planning ahead and delaying gratification for a future possibility. And so that's a fun one if you haven't looked at the marshmallow experiment. Again, future orientation, that idea that delaying gratification, there's some future time period that you might be able to foresee with some added benefit. And they begin to develop positive attitude around planning, saving, frugality, and self-control. Okay, and so thinking about what can you plan for? Perhaps it's a new bike and buying a bike. And so planning to save towards that. And begin to show some positive financial habits. Okay. And making spending and saving decisions aligned with goals and values. So again, maybe it's that family vacation that we can talk about, and is there a possibility of saving towards buying something special on that vacation? Or bigger things may not happen yet, like thinking about college saving or anything like that, but you can be talking about those values and eventual goals. And self-confident about age-appropriate financial tasks. Okay, very often they want to try to buy their own things, spend their own money in stores and things like that, right? So they're very confident about what they might be able to do on their own. They're beginning to understand financial concepts and processes, and we can help them to grow and experience some of those things on their own, give them safe opportunities to experience on their own, and can successfully manage resources to reach a goal. And maybe it's just saving towards, a purchase in the very short term, but those are experiences that we can help with. Then as we look at our financial capability milestones for young adulthood, 13 to 21 years old, we see these items, many of them repeated from the previous slide, but remember that development doesn't happen for everyone at the same age. It's not, when you're 13, you develop these. And we also have to remember that for many people, for many children, that these skills aren't developed until much later, and that development, fully developed brains, if we look at brain development, comes into the mid 20s, oftentimes 25, around that age period. And so to recognize that, but again, you see here similar kinds of tasks that we see, only more advanced, demonstrating critical thinking and future orientation. That positive attitude again towards planning, saving, frugality, and self-control, a little bit more refined with these items. Making spending and saving decisions, again, aligned with goals and values. And we can be looking at longer term kinds of things, those age-appropriate financial tasks that they feel self-confident in. And we can help them to gain that confidence. And again, the financial processes and concepts, and those are more advanced, starting to understand, we see a lot of cards available for youth to begin, doing their own purchasing online and things like that. So they're understanding a lot of these tasks, or at least cursory understanding of these things that are out in the world. Managing those money resources and other resources in order to reach goals. And this is one that I particularly want to point out, identifying trusted sources of information and accurately processing information. And I think, with all of the information sources that are out there today online, that it's important that we help youth to understand what is out there, look for those trusted resources, and help them to gain the critical thinking skills that they need in this society today. We also wanted to point out that although we're using the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau materials today, primarily, that we had a specialist a number of years ago, Dr. Sharon Danis, now retired, that has developed some fact sheets around teaching children money habits for life and some developmentally appropriate activities for children. And so those are available. You see the website, and Sara has put it in the chat as well. So if you want to access that, there's a nice PDF as well as some other materials available. And as we talk about financial socialization, these behaviors can start young for children, and we should recognize that parents are often the biggest influences. The adults around children are very influential, and children remember what they learn from watching the adults around them. And so it's important to recognize that you are influences around children around you, and that they do see things that you're doing. And oftentimes we can talk about those things that we're doing, what we're purchasing, or making choices among items in stores and things like that. Those are good opportunities, and we'll talk about what some of those might look like as well. And the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has looked at financial well-being and asked people around the country what financial well-being means to them. And these are 4 items here that that reflect, well, these themes emerged, and they reflect themes of security and freedom. And so, some of the items deal with things that can be done in the present, abilities for the present, and then some look at future orientation. And so we need to think about how we can help children to develop their skills for today, and also be looking at their future financial well-being. And it's important then to remember that, when we read with children, they are developing skills along with us. And, we can learn some things. These are good reminders as we look at some of the children's books. The themes are good reminders for all of us as well. We can also learn and practice financial concepts together, and both learn the wise use of financial resources. And I think, we were talking about our favorite books earlier, and important to remember that those important books, the ones that we can all probably say word for word because we've read them so much. And if you skip a page, the child actually knows that you've skipped over something because they know the story so well. We've all had those experiences, and remember that because these stories are ones that are so well loved and so well known by children, that the concepts help to they are retained in as we're talking about these as well. So if they know the story, they know what happens in the story, and you can talk about some additional activities following the story, there are ways that we can help to even further retain the concepts. And so that's important when we read together as well. So when and how can we do this? And, as we indicated, children learn these concepts early and during the formative years. And so we can help to develop those skills. We start young and then we continue to develop them. And again, reading the stories with financial concepts and discussing money matters help children learn about money, help them to become responsible money managers. And as I said, we can provide some additional activities, or even think about when we're out and about doing, making consumer purchases and things, to share our thought processes so that children begin to understand what goes into some of those decisions that we make on a daily basis. Okay, and benefits of reading aloud with children. We're building those vocabulary skills. We build interest in books and the motivation to read. We're introducing a variety of topics and we're expanding their knowledge on items and providing a shared experience and that context around those experiences to explore the issues. And, we know it's fun. Kids wouldn't ask for books to be read repeatedly if it wasn't fun for them, if they didn't enjoy it, right? And so let's build on what they already enjoy and expand that as much as we can. So we're just going to go through a few variety of the curricula that we have used related to this topic, and then we're going to focus in on the Money as You Grow bookshelf. But Money as You Grow bookshelf is a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau curriculum. You see there ages 4 to 10. The original curriculum that they have built on came from University of Nevada Cooperative Extension. There's Money on the Bookshelf, and you see the ages are similar there. Many of the guides, the book guides that we talk about, were developed then by University of Nevada Cooperative Extension. But we found some other good curricula along the way that we've enjoyed using as well. Reading Makes Sense is from Penn State University. Again, has some good stories listed as well as some activities, and can be used as after school program as well. And Teaching Economics Using Children's Literature, originally developed from Indiana Department of Education and their Council for Economic Education, and is now with the National Council for Economic Education. And some great materials there as well. Expanded list of books that you will find there. You see grades K through 5 there. And another one from Penn State University, Right on the Money, Talking Dollars and Cents with Parents and Kids. And we should also note that a lot of materials for the 4-H program around money management have come out of Penn State University as well. And there are a variety of curriculum that are not based on children's books, but a variety of good materials that you might want to check out from 4-H as well. And with that, we want you to share some information with us in the chat. We want you to think about what the key financial management concepts are that are important for children to learn. So as we've been talking already this morning, and you've been thinking about some of these books and favorite books, think about what the key financial management concepts might be for children to learn. What's important for them to learn? If you could share that in the chat space, we'd appreciate that. We've got a list. Yeah, certainly savings. Natalie says savings. Needs versus wants, certainly, yeah. What else? As you're doing that, I'm going to share the books that I have here. And I need to get my camera on, or get over to see me so I can see where my books are. I've got a few of them that we're going to be including today, is like Alexander, Who Used to Be Rich Last Sunday. We have Just Shopping for Mom. A couple of the Berenstain Bear books, Trouble with Money and Mama's New Job. And so those are ones that you will see listed today. And I'm seeing budgeting skills, certainly delaying gratification. Choices are always interesting, you know, making consumer choices when going to stores with children. What else? Any other thoughts about what kinds of skills children need?
Well, we're going to
Today,
do that. Yeah.
yeah, I was just going to say, we've got some earning, spending, saving, planning, shopping, borrowing. I laugh because I was thinking about the bartering and trading comments. I saw something earlier in one of the slides that made me think about that and the ability. And when I was doing some planning around these kinds of activities early when I started teaching children and money topics, I went into my sister-in-law's kindergarten class and shared a book. And it was around talking about bartering. And what I didn't know, the backstory was that her kids were all out on the playground doing these things already. They were already trading things, and it had become a problem in some families. Kids were coming home with things that parents didn't know where they got them. And after we had done this lesson, she got a couple of calls because I had provided some little toys, and kids brought the toys home, and parents were curious to know what was going on. So it was a good opportunity again for parents to learn about, you know, what their kids were learning in school. And so that was kind of fun too. But I saw borrowing, experience of earning and sharing. Great. Yeah, and Colleen, I see you mentioned the MCEE resources, a lot of good materials there. In fact, they do a workshop on using children's literature as well. So if you have an opportunity, that's a great course to take. All right, thank you everyone. And Sara, I'm gonna let you take it from there.
Thank you, Lori. So as Lori indicated, we're going to focus on the Money as You Grow bookshelf curriculum from the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And so similar to all the other curricula that we highlighted, they help weave those money skills into the time already spent reading to children in a way that they'll understand. And so they have divided those key ideas or those learning areas into 3 buckets: planning, money, and me. And so we're going to take a look at each of those 3 buckets to look at what are some of the concepts that they pulled out of the books to help children learn these. So we're going to start with the planning. And so they have identified setting goals, prioritizing, solving problems, and making decisions. And we know that all of these definitely connect with money, but they can also be related to other resources such as time or toys or whatever that might be. So the setting goals, right? We know that, you know, something that you want to have or do. And so it's, I always think of SMART goals, but using that timeline and having a plan of action. So helping children learn that process of how to set goals and follow through with that so they can be successful with that. Prioritizing is a great concept to help children understand and learn about, because we can't have or do everything all at once, right? So helping them arrange things in order. What's most important right now? What's most important today, right? And there's some delayed gratification that oftentimes may need to go with that as well. I do want to share, someone had asked in the chat, if you didn't see it, we will be sharing the slides, so you'll be getting these slides as well. Solving problems, right? So finding what works best for us and taking action to make things better. And we learn by doing, right? Sometimes we try to solve a problem that's not successful, and we learn from those times when we're not successful. And then hopefully we're able to apply that learning or that information to the next time we encounter a similar situation. And then making decisions. helping young ones learn about asking questions, recognizing that there are a lot of different choices out there, and it's important to compare good and bad about each choice, the pros and the cons, and using that information to make decisions. So these 4 key ideas are presented in the planning section. And then we look at money, and several of you identified these when Lori asked about what were some of those key ideas. So earning, spending, saving, and then sharing. So back up at the earning, you know, that people earn money, right? And we need money to pay our bills, but we will get paid for our time and skills. And then also that paper money and coins have different values as well. Someone had put in the chat that it's important for kids to have experience earning money, and that will look different at different ages, right? So children might earn some money with chores, and then eventually get paid employment as they get older. Or maybe they're even before they get that first real job down at the pizza joint, they might be mowing the lawn for the neighbor. But earning, we get paid for doing things. Spending, right? That's such a big one. And understanding that you need money to buy things, and things have different prices, right? So going out to eat for the family might cost $20, but if we buy a pizza, frozen pizza at the grocery store, we might spend $5 or $6 on that, or more or less, depending upon what type of pizza you get. And also understanding that money can only be spent once, right? After I buy something, that money is gone. And then I'm going to have to get more money to buy future things. So it's not something that we recycle. And I think sometimes with our electronic games these days, it seems to be on this loop, right? We do things and then there's more automatically, but that's not the case in real life. With savings, figuring out how to set money aside until we have enough to buy what we want. That goes back to the prioritizing and the goal setting, right? If it's a bike that I want to buy, and figuring out how much does it cost. And most of us wouldn't, as children, wouldn't have those dollars right away. So having to save. When we look at sharing, there's 2 components to that: giving or gifting, and then borrowing. And this is a tough concept sometimes to understand. But a gift is something that you don't have to pay for, and it's not returned. So when we give birthday gifts or holiday gifts, those are things we're giving away and we don't expect them back. But when we borrow items, they must be returned. And I absolutely love libraries. Maybe in an afterlife, maybe I can be a librarian someday, but I'm taking young children to libraries so they learn that they borrow a book and they have to take good care of it, because that book has got to go back to the library in good condition. And so the difference that are there in the sharing. So earning, spending, savings, and sharing, all in the money category. And then the last category looks at me. And Lori and I had a conversation too about this was an interesting way and a good way for them to highlight these concepts. And so the first one they talk about is self-control, and choosing not to spend money even when there's something we want right now, right? So again, that delayed gratification goes in with that, but that self-control and definitely when we start with our little ones, that's going to be more challenging. But as the kids grow older, hopefully that will increase, but it comes through practice, right? Follow through is a big thing, right? So sticking with a plan to reach a goal requires that effort and skill and sometimes help with others. But figuring out that I can't just set a goal and expect it to happen, right? We need to work on that follow through, and what does that look like? And in many of the books we're going to be looking at, they have built that in, and the children can look at the characters that were successful with that. Staying true to yourself. This is, we've heard the term keeping up with the Joneses, right? So that kind of goes with this one. And so encouraging children, it's to not compare themselves to others, and knowing what's important to them. And so just being comfortable with who they are and what they have, and realizing I don't need to keep up with the Joneses type of situation. And then flexibility, learning from those mistakes by changing plans and trying something new. And it's okay to fail, right? We just dust ourselves off. We figured out what went wrong, what went right, and how can we adjust that in the future. So this is the me category. So we're going to try a new activity here, and we're going to use annotation. And so for those of you that aren't familiar with it, I would like you to, I believe you'll find this at the top of your screen, Lori, right? So go up to the top.
Yeah, and I was just going to say they're viewing your screen. So where it says right now on the slide, my screen, it's actually your screen that they're viewing.
It is. So we did, we had to do some screenshots to get this in here. And so Lori had to share her screen to me in order to get these screenshots. So go up to the top of your screen and there should be a view options with a little down arrow. Click on that. And then you'll see this bottom piece here. And we're going to want you to click on the stamp and go ahead and try stamping on the screen right now. Once you find that, if you're having difficulty, definitely go ahead and, oh, I see a heart. I'm seeing some hearts. You can pick whatever stamps you want to use in there. I see a few people are figuring that out. I'm seeing some stars and some checks. All right, great. We wanted to be able to practice on this. Excellent. If anyone's having difficulty, again, go to the top on that view options, click on that down arrow, and you'll see this wide range and click on the stamp. It looks like lots of people are finding that. Okay, I'm going to go to the next screen here. And I need to clear, I think. Whoops. Oh, Lori, I think I need to clear those first.
Yes, if you can't, I can clear as well. So if you go to the next slide, then I can clear.
Okay. There we go. Okay, so.
All right, let me clear all the drawings.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
So now we want you to identify which key ideas are most important, do you think? So maybe use 3 stamps. Stamp on your top 3 that you think are most important for children to use or to learn. And maybe you think all of them are important. I think they are as well. But go ahead. Yep, I'm seeing you guys have got it figured out. Go ahead and put those right in the circles or ovals there. Yep. Vote for your top 3. Yeah, lots of prioritizing is pretty big, goal setting, saving, sharing, that self-control, right? We'll wait just another minute so folks can indicate which they think are most important.
Rebecca says, now I know how kids do that in my child's asynchronous class. We're all learning.
Yeah, we put in that the previous slide to help folks figure that out a little bit. So I was like, it's hard to describe verbally. All right.
She says it drives teachers nuts.
Yeah, I am going to snap a picture of this. Thank you for sharing. But again, we're seeing prioritizing, goal setting, savings, follow through, self-control, flexibility. I think everything got a vote. Yep, everything got at least 1 vote. Great, thank you for sharing on that. Lori, go ahead and clear the screen. I had forgotten they hold to the screen. Thank you. Lori is so good at that. Lori shared some of the books that she had on her bookshelf, but these are the books that are included in the CFPB program. And they are all available in English, and I believe there are 2 that are available in Spanish. So the very last one's on the bottom of the right-hand corner, Tia Isa Wants a Car. So that one is in Spanish. And I'm looking here.
It's the one right below it then too. That's another Tia Isa.
Oh, yep. So one is English, one is Spanish. And then there is one other book that is available in Spanish. And I'm going to grab my book here.
Oh, Count on Pablo.
Pablo, thank you.
Yeah.
Count on Pablo. So that one as well is available in Spanish, and they've expanded the list of books a little bit to provide a little bit more diversity as well. The Jingle Dancer, I guess this doesn't work to hold it in front of myself very well, but so looking at Native American culture as well. So that's kind of a fun one. And I think, yep, My Rows and Piles of Coins features a Black child, African American child as well. So some of the books do have children of color, which is really great as well. So this is just a quick snapshot of the books that are included in the curriculum. The CFPB also provides a key idea matrix, and you can see down the left-hand side, the planning, money, and need. And so this matrix is available in the program facilitator implementation guide. And so depending upon what concepts you want to teach, you would then look at which books are including information or the storyline touches on those concepts. So for example, A Bargain for Francis talks about setting goals, making decisions, staying true to yourself, and flexibility. And so I really like this chart. And the CFPB has added a few additional books to their piece. So I actually took my chart and I added an extra page and extended the chart with that. So this is a great tool I have found to be really helpful. All right. So just a few thoughts about when folks are reading books with children. And Lori and I had a discussion on, well, some of this comes really naturally for parents. And I said, well, maybe not for all parents, depending upon their experience reading books with children. And so before reading the book, definitely hold it so everyone can see it, or even have one of the children help hold the book if that's possible, and invite the children to read aloud with you, depending upon their reading ability. During the story, it's helpful to run your fingers smoothly under the words as you're reading, which can help with word recognition and work on those reading skills. If folks are good at it, use those fun voices, right? And matching them to the characters in the book. Asking children to guess what happens next, and pausing during the book. What do you think is going to happen? Sometimes folks may just want to get from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. During these exercises, we really want to pause and spend time and talk and chat about that. So what do you think is going to happen? And then also have the children give ideas about what the characters should do with their money. What do you think they should do? And then asking them, how do you think Johnny feels, or how do you think Isa feels? And looking at the emotions that go with that as well. Maybe they're very sad. Alexander, who used to be rich last Sunday, spent all of his money, and he's sad when he spends it all, right? So talking about those emotions as well. After the story, ask the children what they liked best. Ask them if they can give an example of a key idea in this story. So what did Alexander learn about money in this story, and see if they can come up with that. Also, you can ask the children if something similar has happened to them. Have you ever spent all of your money? Right? And then you were very sad about that. What would you do differently when you think back to that? Or was there something that went well that you would do again? And so having those conversations with the children. The CFPB also provides a list of 9 ways to keep reading fun. So it's really encouraged. We encourage parents and others, whoever the reader is, read the book yourself first so you know what's going on. And then ask those questions as you read, as we just looked at. Choosing a regular story time really helps develop those routines in young children's lives, whether it's before going to bed, or maybe there's a special story time, before nap or in the morning, but having that regular story time. Finding a cozy, quiet place to read makes it really special. Making sure, again, the kids can see the pictures, read with expression. Keep story time short. right? Any activities that get to be too long can be not so good with young children. And then look for ways to talk about the story, asking those questions. But then the nice thing is when you've had a shared reading experience, you can always reflect back, right? If the child has some money that they want to spend, we can say, well, remember when Alexander spent all of his money right away? And he was sad then. So what do you want to do with your money now? So you can always reflect back. And then again, continue to read aloud together with children. Sometimes that falls off as children develop their own reading skills, but they sure love that time reading together, even when they have those reading skills. All right, so we're going to get into some of the tools that are available. So there are parent guides available for each of the books. And here I have 21 English books, 2 Spanish. So these parent guides are available. You can download them for free, print them off. If you are, several people indicated they were here for professional purposes. So if you're with a community action program and you work with a Head Start program, or you're with a library or ECFE, or maybe you work with a Boys and Girls Club or a 4-H club or whatever. But if you've got a group of children and you want to do this with parents and children as well, you can order copies of these parent guides, and you can get up to 200 of them, which is super cool, and they're free, right? So each of the little parent guides for each of the books. The parent guides are super nice because they really, they guide the parents through the story. It includes a summary of the story, right? So of course we would like you to read through the book ahead of time so you know what it's about, but there's a quick summary, right? The cliff notes, so you can understand what it's all about. It also highlights the key ideas, and that's great. So you know what's being highlighted in the book. It also gives you something to think about, and so it just highlights some of those key ideas and how they connect with the book. So those are really good. So you've got some insider information before you read with the child. And then of course, before you read, they give some tips, and they are very similar to the ones that we just provided. And one of the things that I super love is something to do. And I think about this as a wraparound or an extension of reading the book with the child. And so each of the book provides some suggestions or some ideas of things to do. And so this is an example of a chair for my mother. So in that book, they had ideas for children ages 4 and above, 6 and above, and 8 and above. And so they identify the age appropriateness. And so in this case, for the little ones, they're suggesting make your own money jar, and they give some ideas and suggestions, and it could be made out of an old Cool Whip container or a sour cream container, and what kids don't love, some glue and pom-poms, or whatever you might have around the house to do some decorating with that. And so as you help the child make that container, that money jar, you can have those conversations again about, what do you want to save money for? And we start talking about some of those key concepts. For the ages 6 and above, they talk about recognizing success. And so in this case, they're encouraging family members to think about when they have been successful. And so to talk about that. And you can also draw a picture of that. And then they talk about making a little picture frame. They even suggest getting the old macaroni out for the macaroni picture frames, but drawing a picture or snapping a picture of when they were successful saving money. And then the last one for the 8-year-olds and above, the family brainstorm. This is where they really talk about and recognize the skills and talents of each family member, and how those talents and skills can help families get what they want or what their goals are. In the storybook, it was everybody saved to get a chair for mother. And so in this case, they suggest getting a large piece of paper or cutting apart a brown paper bag, right? Because then you get some nice brown paper there, having some markers, and have the family work on this together. So either putting it on the table or hanging it on the wall. And then you can either, make a chart with every family member's names and then just list some of their talents and skills that family members have, or they can be drawn on the paper. But in this case, it's really talking about everyone's special skills and talents and how they can help family members get what they want and need. So these extension activities are super neat, and they are listed in each of the parent guides, and they're specific to the stories within the book. So kind of fun. There are also resources for libraries, and I'm guessing this could be for community action programs and other agencies that work with families, with parents and children. And so they have, I had referenced earlier, the program facilitator implementation guide. This has got that key idea matrix in there and lots of really good information. They also have a nice little section on icebreakers. So if you decide to use this for story time and you want to do an icebreaker with the parents and the kids as they first come, they again have a nice little matrix of the stories and icebreakers that would reinforce the concepts that you would be reading in your selected books. And then of course they have the directions for the icebreakers there as well. So super nice. They have a variety of outreach materials to help do some promotion. And then you can order a kiosk. I think it's like a cardboard kiosk where you would have the parent guides, and you could do a book display. You can also order posters, bookmarks, and stickers as well to help promote. So the CFPB, I think, has done a really nice job in providing these resources.
Sarah, I just wanted to mention too that even using the parent guides in a library with a story hour, that reading the book for the story hour, and there have been times that I've gone into our local library and done some work with the parents while the kids are reading the book and gone through. So this is what they're hearing in the book, and the story, and here's the activities that we can do. And when the kids are done reading the book, then bringing the kids and the parents together and actually doing kind of the ECFE model of bringing the kids and the parents together to do an activity together as well, and to do some of those, whether it's making the money jar or thinking about some of those other activities that are indicated. It's so nice to be able to share some of those ideas with parents in a group setting as well. So I really like that they have some other materials that can be used for library programs as well.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to shift gears just slightly on this one slide here. We wanted to share that our University of Minnesota Extension has a youth and money webpage, and you will also get a copy of this. Thank you, Lori. Just put that in the chat. Thanks, Lori. So check that out for some resources. The 3 publications listed are on that page. There's some fun money conversation starters for parents and children. 1-page thing. Yes. Snip them apart with the scissors, and you can put them in a jar or a Ziploc bag. They're fun to use at mealtime or when you're waiting in line at the grocery store or whenever, but they're good money conversation starters for folks. We had shared earlier that teaching children money habits for life that Sharon Danis and Tammy Dunrood had pulled together. Great information. They also put together a piece on allowances and alternatives. And that one has some really great information as well. So you can check that out too. We're going to do one more activity. We're going to do the annotation, but this time, instead of using the stamps, we're going to use text. So I want folks to again go to that view options, click on that down arrow, And then we're going to use the text feature. And I'm going to flip to the next slide here. And so on this slide, we would like people to type in using the text on the slide how you think you might use these resources, your initial thoughts. So we'll see if people can do the annotation and using the text. If you're not able to get that figured out, or if you prefer, you can go ahead and type in the chat as well. As summer conversations with your son, great idea. Library programs for parents and kids, excellent. Share the information with parents in your parent education class, yes. So great. And parent education workshops, partnering with the library and older kids. Great ideas. Other thoughts or ideas? Church.
No, I'm
Bertha put in the chat. I'm using it at church. Go ahead, Lori.
Yeah, I was just going to say too, and I don't have the correct URL, but I do know that one of the activities that I've done with A Chair for My Mother is to do a story stroll with the big format books and cutting 2 of them apart to make a story that can go on little yard signs, and that you can have parents and kids walking through the yard signs together and reading together too. The URL, I'm just going to throw this out there because I don't know the correct, but it's ncrocfans.umn.edu, I believe, for our North Central Research and Outreach Center. I'll put it, I'll try to put it in there and see if I've got it correct. But there should be a recording of what we had done related to that, so that people could take a look at that and see if they might want to try something like that.
Well, and the story strolls really are super relevant right now too, right? With COVID, and rather than bringing lots of people together in a small space, you could put that up at a local park and have some outdoor time. Hopefully our weather warms up here just a little bit, right? And they can stroll and read the book together and have those conversations. And you can still do a group activity before and after as well. Great. Someone indicated they're going to share the resources with couples who are planning to have kids. Great. Parent guides to generate the right questions. I love that. And I'm going to take a quick picture of these comments as well. Super great. Thank you, Lori, for getting that link in there about the story strolls. Lori, can you clear this for me as well? Perfect. Thank you. All right. We are wrapping up here, but if folks have questions or additional ideas, be sure to put those in the chat. If you would like or need a certificate of participation, definitely you can send me an email. And I believe there will also be a question on the evaluation. So you can just indicate, yes, you want one on the evaluation as well, and you will get that sent to you as well. So check that out. Thank you, Carrie. So here we do have a short evaluation that we do ask people to complete. And if you could take just a few minutes, this is extremely helpful. In addition, you will receive a follow-up email in a month, I believe. Well, actually, it'll be 30 days after the last webinar in our series, in our financial parenting series. And that last webinar is on June 17th. So about mid-July, everyone will be getting a follow-up email, and we'll be asking, how did you use the information? Lori has put the URL for the evaluation in the chat. If folks could take just a few minutes to do that, it would be great. Also, when we send our follow-up email, we will include that link in there as well. So that's excellent. I mentioned that this is part of our financial parenting series. Our first webinar was on April 27th, and that's not on the list, but we looked at financial parenting and youth financial well-being. So looking at financial socialization and a lot of those things we talked about at the beginning. And then this is the second webinar in that session using children's books. On May 12th, we have a short webinar on overindulgence. And those of you that are working with parents and children, check this one out. It's super great information, and they will share additional resources. There's a 1-hour online course about overindulgence, money and motion strategies for kids to discover how money works on May 20th. Lori is part of the I'm an Adult, Now What? So they're looking at planning personal finance and housing. So for those older teens as they're getting ready to launch, or those young adults being launched. We also have a series on feeding your children, and 2 of those, well, actually one happened on April 28th. They looked at first foods for ages 0 to 2. Today, and I didn't put that one on here, we have Choosy Eaters, ages 2 to 6. And then you can see they're focusing on ages 6 to 12, 12 to 17, and an 18 above, looking at a relation to food. So kids in the kitchen exploring new choices and on their own. And then some of our colleagues who are Spanish speaking are presenting a variety of webinars as well, and those are listed there. We also have one remaining webinar that didn't really fit into our series, but it's looking at practicing healthy communications, and that is on May 25th. And so the URL at the top of the slide there is where you can go to register for that. We will also be including a flyer in the follow-up email, so you'll have registration links for those. We encourage and invite folks to engage with us. So our Extension Center for Family Development has a Facebook page. We actually have 2, one in English and one in Spanish. We have an Instagram and Pinterest account. We also have a Twitter account, as well as some videos up on YouTube. And we also just got a LinkedIn account. So check those out. We also encourage you to sign up for our family news. And Lori, I'm not sure if we can get that family news sign up URL into the chat, but this is once a month you'd get an email and you'd be able to see some articles about updates and resources and things that are available. All right. So Don, send me an email. Croym001@umn.edu, and I'll send you a certificate. Definitely. Kaylee as well. Don, Piggy Banking by Jeff Opdyke, is that a book? I'm guessing that's a children's book, or maybe it's a book written for parents. If you can share a little more information about that as well. We thank everyone for joining us. So Lori and I are going to hang out here for continued discussion. If folks are interested in sharing information, or if you have questions, we are here to chat, because definitely we learn so much with connecting with all of our webinar participants. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And if you're interested in family news, I'm just getting that in the chat right now. So
thank you, Lori. I put you on the spot with that one. Great. So glad everyone is able to join. Lori, did we stop the recording?
I will right now.